Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our ongoing coverage of the Eritrean invasion of the Tigray region. Now, what is happening on the ground? So, obviously, we have received reports, heard reports that the Abiy loyalist army, in conjunction with Eritrean forces, have seized control of the town of Shire, and then from Shire have proceeded down the B30 highway in a direction towards Axum. So as we speak today, we are getting reports that the Eritrean army is on the outskirts of Axum, and right now are basically trying to shut down all access to Axum, at least from the western side of Axum. It's difficult to ascertain right now if they have been able to maneuver past Axum and block off the B30 highway from the easterly direction. Now, the problem that is going on for the Eritrean military in this ongoing campaign is what I've talked about before. They are rapidly overextending their lines. Their lines run from obviously the Eritrean border south all the way down through Adidaro and then Shire, and then along the B30 towards Axum. Same scenario in the west. Shiaro, again, not a major road like the B30, but nonetheless, it is a point of access through some very, very rugged terrain. Now, the problem, the big challenge for the Eritrean army, the Abiy loyalist forces, is as we have talked about many, many times, and that is the territory to the south and east of the B30 highway, this Tembian region. This area is not secure. And to my knowledge, as we speak, they have not made efforts to move south or north of the B30 highway to secure their lines that run along the B30 highway. So in the case of some recent activity we have seen near Shire, in which Tigray defense forces have moved in and cut off some main routes that are being used by the Eritrean army. Not only that, we also have reports that at least one unit suffered incredible amounts of casualties and then also sustained prisoners of war. We saw male and female prisoners of war that were captured by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And we believe it happened in the vicinity of Shire, either north of Shire or along the B30 highway at some point. But what's happening right now is, yes, the Eritrean military, the Abiy loyalist forces, have quite a bit of manpower committed to this operation. And a lot of that focused manpower is in the easterly direction along the B30, and it looks like they're trying to get to Adwa. They believe that if they're able to lay siege to Adwa and then break through north from Rama and then eventually secure Adwa, and then obviously Adwa controls the A2 south towards Mekelle, and then obviously it would help them secure their position along the B30 highway as well, from the looks of it. But again, the Eritrean army, the Abiy loyalist forces, are essentially making the same strategic error that they have made in the past campaign. They are trying to take control of these roadway networks and then major cities, but at the same time, they are not able to secure the other areas to the south of the B-30, to the west of the A2 highway. I believe that's the A2. And that's the big challenge right now. And that is what eventually, in all probability, is going to lead to another military failure by Eritrean forces. I have been asked to look at some other content providers out there in terms of their view about the ongoing conflict, and they're doing what they can in terms of reporting what is happening on the ground, but obviously they are not schooled in the operational art of war. So some things that they may be seeing would lead them to believe that something different is happening on the ground. And again, with what is developing right now between Shire and Axum, the Eritrean military, the Abiy loyalist forces, are exposing themselves to something that could be tantamount to a disaster if they are not able to secure some of these areas to the south of the B-30 and north of the B-30 highway. The Eritrean army, the Abiy loyalist army, seems to have the ability, once they focus on an objective, be it the taking of a city, the securing of a road network for a short period of time, they have that capability. Now the problem is long-term viability. They don't have the logistical infrastructure to stay in the northern Tigray region, especially, and this is important, especially when the Tigrayan Defense Forces are very much active south of the B-30 and north of the B-30. When we observed Operation Olula, that is exactly what occurred. Many of the ENDF, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Abiy loyalist forces, found themselves occupying cities throughout the Tigray region. And then they also found themselves not being provided the proper logistical support to feed them, get them ammunition, weapons, rotate troops in, rotate troops out. And then they found themselves besieged by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Morale waned, morale dropped, and then they were eventually defeated. And I don't believe at this point neither the Eritrean military, and in some cases that is also being cost prohibitive for the Eritrean military. They're relying a lot on monetary support from the former state of Ethiopia, the Abiy regime. But again, having the long-term viability of this long-term occupation of northern Tigray is what is going to be called into question. Now, is it a possibility that some of these military activities are being conducted to add to their position in upcoming peace talks or negotiations? Possibly. But I don't believe at this point the Tigrayan Defense Forces are necessarily seeing it as something that could be defined as a long-term defeat. I believe at this point, the Tigrayan Defense Forces see this as an opportunity in which the enemy are coming to them. And again, they operate very much more effectively as a light infantry insurgent style force. Again, this industrial strength insurgency, which can rapidly become more or less a conventional fighting force very quickly. It's a very, very interesting strategy that Tigrayan Defense Forces are employing. But again, as in Shire, as in along the B30 running up towards Axum, and we're already starting to hear these reports of ENDF and Eritrean army units, again, being ambushed and attacked along the B30 highway. They may be able to assault and or reduce Axum and then take control of Axum. Then what? Well, then they're going to have to push east further. And then they're going to have to take Adwa. And then they take Adwa, then what? Well, then they're going to have to press south towards Mekelle. Now, when they do that, again, these forces that are left behind in Axum, Shire, Wikro, Adidaro, that is when you're going to start to see these envelopment operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces against the Eritrean army. Again, same recipe for disaster as we observed back in 2021. But this is all the Eritrean military, all the Abiy loyalist forces really know how to do at this point. They don't know counterinsurgency operations. In all probability, they just don't have the capability to move south into the Tenbian region at this point. And until they are able to do that, again, in all probability, you're going to start to see the Tigrayan Defense Forces falling upon these forces that have been left behind to secure these cities as they continue to move forward towards Adwa eventually. But that's where we're at right now. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor and report. And yes, I will reinforce the reports that we are getting that Shire is being surrounded, and elements of the Eritrean army and Abiy loyalist forces are being attacked and engaged by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, which are operating to the northeast of the city, to the west of the city, and to the south of the city. So that's where we set for today. We will have more reports very, very soon. And again, thank you for joining us. And as always, have a good day.